everyone. It's good to see you all. We'll call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please read the adequate notice of compliance statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the City Clerk's Office in preparation of the Council Annual Meeting Notice dated January 3rd, 2019, which was properly distributed and posted per statutory requirements. Please be advised that fire exits are to my right, your left, and at the back of the room. The City has a listening system to assist the hearing impaired. If anyone needs hearing assistance, please obtain it at the system at the dais and return it thereafter.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now let's read the roll call.
Mr. Bowman?
Here.
Ms. Fox?
Here.
Mr. Gould?
Here.
Ms. Little?
Here.
Mr. McTiernan?
Here.
Mr. Vartan?
Here.
President Naidoo.
Absent. Okay, thank you. And now I'm going to call on three people to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Sophie Lee, Daniel Grimmig, and Malcolm Harrison. If you would, please stand right over here. Come on out where we can see you. Just in the open space there, and then we can do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, guys. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice regarding closed session and hearings and comments?
We'll dispense with the closed session announcement because we canceled it.
Canceled it, yes,
So
ma'am.
we'll forego that statement. Explanatory note for hearings and comments. Please be advised that council meetings are broadcast live on Comcast Channel 36 and Verizon Channel 30 and rebroadcast on Thursdays and Saturdays on Hometown TV on Comcast 36 and Verizon 33. When invited to speak, please come to the lectern, clearly state your name and address, spell your last name, and speak into the podium microphone so that your comments can be understood by all and properly recorded. Whenever an audience or council member reads from a prepared statement, please give or email a copy to the City Clerk's office at rlicatis@cityofsummit.org. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers are asked to limit their comments to approximately 3 minutes or so in length. Unless you are using an electronic device to follow the meeting agenda or need it for professional emergency contact purposes, please turn it off. Thank you.
Thank you. Now on to minutes for approval. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of regular and closed session of June 6, 2019?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. On to reports. Madam Mayor is not here. She's Nora Radis. She's at the middle school graduation, and congratulations to all of them. And now on to Michael Rogers for the City Administrator's report.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. Summit's 72nd annual 4th of July celebration will take place on Thursday, July 4th at Soldier Memorial Field, located at 5 Myrtle Avenue. The day-long family-friend event includes entertainment, rides and amusements, a food truck festival, and a spectacular fireworks display. The 4th of July celebration is fully funded by residents and local businesses. To contribute or to view more information, including a full schedule of events, please visit summitcommunityprograms.com. Although driving cautiously should always be a priority for motorists, the Summit Police Department would like to remind citizens that it's even more important once school is out and kids are playing in yards rather than the confines of a playground. Watch out for bouncing balls, abandoned bikes, or lost toys as signs of a child may be running after them and into the street in front of your car. There will be there will be also a lack of crossing guards at crosswalks, so be sure to double check that the intersection is clear before proceeding and leave early to allow extra time to reach your destination and avoid rushing. Lastly, in early August, the Summit Police Department will offer a 2-hour self-defense class for women high school age and older, led by Summit Police Officer Donald D. Philippus, an instructor at the John H. Stalmer Police Academy. The free course will focus on the same defense skills taught to police academy recruits. Registration information and additional course details will be shared in the next few weeks. There's also a plan to hold a self-defense class for middle school girls in the next school year. And that's all I have for this evening, Council President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. You said there's a self-defense class for middle schoolers as well?
They're planning it right now. There'll
Planning
be
it.
some more information on it in a few
Fantastic.
weeks. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, and now for the Council President's report. So for more than 10 years, the City of Summit has offered unpaid summer internships for college students. It began in the Department of Community Services and now is being implemented by the administration. Every June, a new group of interns joins us for what is always a challenging and rewarding professional experience. Tonight, 5 of our 2019 summer interns are observing the Common Council meeting, so please stand when I call your name. First up is Claire Goudreau. Thank you. Claire is working with the Environmental Commission on a number of projects, including sustainable Jersey submissions. Doug Hunnicky. Doug, did I pronounce it correctly? Yes. Thank you, and we've met before. Doug's working with the city clerk to create Common Council orientation materials and is interviewing council and staff as part of his research. Grace McGann. Hi. Grace is working with the Summit Police Department, Summit's finest, helping to update its website and assisting staff at the 8th grade pool party. Julie Phipps. Hi, Julie. Julie's working with Mayor Radis and other community leaders to create a resource guide for elder residents. And finally, Owen Wilkins. Hi, Owen. Owen is working with the tax assessor's office, participating in home inspections and learning about the assessment process. There are 3 remaining interns who could not be here this evening: Louis Lozano, Finn Loden, and Patience Baldacci. So on behalf of my colleagues on Common Council, I'd like to thank you all for participating in the internship program this year and for contributing your time and talents on these important projects. Thank you. And we are glad you're here. Okay. And forgive me for 1 minute. Yes. And now it's time for the ceremonial awards. All right. Ceremonial awards. Our community is powered by volunteerism. City staff and council could not accomplish many of our goals or run essential programs without the tremendous support we receive from our volunteers. We are very fortunate that many of these volunteers are young people who begin at an early age to donate their time and talents. And tonight, we're going to recognize 3 Summit High School seniors who have contributed in a very significant way to the Summit Free Market and Recycling Advisory Committees. So please join me at the podium, Daniel Grimmig, Malcolm Harrison, and Sophie Lee. This is a City of Summit Certificate of Recognition for Sophie Lee in recognition of your outstanding contribution and dedication as volunteer for the Recycling Advisory Committee. Thank you. Malcolm Harrison, this is in recognition of your outstanding contribution and dedication as a volunteer on the Student Organizing Committee of the Summit Free Market Program. Thank you. And you go by Danny, I hear.
Yeah.
Yes. In recognition of your outstanding contribution and dedication as a volunteer on the Student Organizing Committee of the Summit Free Market Program. Thank you. Can we get a picture? Yes, of course. Right here in front of the podium.
Okay, one person on the other side of that, please.
Okay. Or I'll just slip it.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go? Yeah? Okay, good.
Got it.
Thank you. We are really fortunate to have so many great volunteers. Okay. Okay. Thank you. At this point in the meeting, we welcome comments from any member of the public about issues that are not topics on tonight's business agenda. Forgive me. Thought I had that off. Whenever an audience or council member reads from a prepared statement, please provide a copy to the city clerk or email it to Rosie at rlickatees@cityofsummit.org. And to help facilitate an orderly meeting and permit all to be heard, speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Copy?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alejandra Gurevich. Members of the council. We own a property on Ashwood Court, and over the last 6 months, I have been in communication with several of you regarding questions and concerns we have regarding the Habitat for Humanity project that is going to be located at 146 Morris Avenue. This is a project that we support. As a matter of fact, I had a friend who was just visiting me, picking up her son from my house, saying, I want to meet with you and figure out how to apply for a house. And I said, yes, I will be the first one to help the community any way I can. But the City of Summit master plan had envisioned 12 units to be built on the totality of what is the Italian-American Association. Habitat is proposing to build 12 units on a reduced area, increasing the final density beyond what the Common Council had approved. The variance requested by Habitat was granted last week on the basis of Ordinance 17-3132, which also stipulated that the exit of the development should be through Ashwood Court. We had questions about this ordinance, so we reviewed the May 2nd, 2017 meeting minutes of the Common Council when the ordinance was adopted. At that meeting, the city planner expressly recommended a detailed traffic analysis for any development of the Italian-American Club. The Common Council adopted the ordinance on the same night, and we are not aware of any traffic study that was ever considered by the Common Council. We do not understand why Ordinance 17-3132 contains the express requirement that the development should provide access through Ashwood Court. As far as we know, the specific language of the ordinance was not discussed or crafted during that meeting. Sometime between the adoption of the ordinance on May 2nd and the publication of the ordinance, the language expressly required access through Ashwood Court was added without any traffic study, without any notice to the public, and without any consideration for the safety of the residents of the court. The failure to consider the safety of the residents of the Ashwood Court was also evident during the zoning board hearings. The traffic expert from Habitat never looked into the safety of the children living in the court. We filed an OPRA request to obtain copies of any studies that were considered by the Planning Board and Common Council in arriving at the requirement regarding the access. None of the documents provided in response to the OPRA request provided any specific reasons. The conclusion is that the portion of the ordinance requiring access via Ashwood Court was not based on any traffic studies. The requirement for access via Ashwood Court also contravenes Article 5, Section 35-51 of Summit Design and Performance Standards, which discourages any use of land when such construction or use will adversely affect the use and enjoyment of adjacent or nearby property or the health and welfare of residents in the city. My question to you today are, how did this all happen? Who added the language to the ordinance requiring access via Ashwood Court? Why was it added without any notice to the public? How could the requirement for access via Ashwood Court be adopted without any traffic studies? We need answers, and you are our elected representatives. How are you going to address this issue?
Okay, thank you for your comments. I don't believe that we have answers at this time. We have heard what you said.
Okay, so do you envision that we are going to be hearing from specifically one of you? How do we sort of plan for the future? As you know, this is time sensitive for us.
Yes.
And we have been, I think most of you know that we have been asking regarding the ordinance, and we have not heard anything from anybody. So how do you suggest we go about getting our answers?
Ma'am, I'm the town attorney, city attorney. I'll look at the letter that you've provided to the clerk. I'll review it, and then we'll be back in touch. Because you've cited different ordinances, et cetera. I want to look at that, talk to the folks in administration, and then somebody will reach out to you with regard to your questions.
Is it possible for you to let me know who I should reach out?
No, we'll reach back out to you. Is your contact information on the,
It isn't.
If you'd like to jot it down on here, and then I'll have it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want to just put it on the back.
I understand it's time sensitive, and I'm certain that we'll be back to you very quickly.
Okay, you want to recognize the next one? I don't know if you know that.
I don't know that.
Now you do. You can. That's all the more reason why you're. Okay. Thank you very much.
And ma'am, if you're represented by counsel, you're represented by legal counsel?
That's a difficult question. I think we are not represented by the town council.
Okay, well, because if you are, I have to communicate with legal counsel.
Right. Once we finish with the zoning board, we hired counsel for attendance to the summit, to the zoning board, but our connection with the council has finished.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jacoby. Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Tara Gagliano. I'm a resident of Ashwood Court. I'm also here to discuss the safety issues regarding the access for Habitat for Humanity via Ashwood Court. I live at 6 Ashwood Court, and my property is directly affected by this. They are going to bust open a road which is going to take some of my driveway, and it's going to be right in front of my house. Not only am I going to be negatively impacted by that, but according to the traffic expert, I'm going to be backing out onto their apron. I don't understand how that's safe. I have a 1-year-old daughter, and when I back out, if I get hit, she's getting hit on that side, okay? On top of that, the traffic expert testified that there will be an additional 70 to 80 trips in and out of that driveway onto our little cul-de-sac. So, City Administrator, Mr. Rogers, I like how you address the safety of the children, especially going into the summer. I just want to know how we're addressing the safety of the kids on Ashwood Court, because we have 5 miracle NICU babies.
Ma'am,
That are
excuse me,
1-year-old.
just please direct your comments to me.
I am.
Thank you.
So I want to know how we are going to address the safety of our kids on Ashwood Court. There's a number of issues with this project. We've been mocked as residents. We've been called racist at the last meeting. Race was never addressed with this, and I'm not quite sure why addressing safety for my child considers me a racist. I was very upset at that last meeting. And the board members, one of the board members said he approved this, and he hopes that, and he wants to believe that Habitat will be a good neighbor. Well, Habitat did not work with us, and the only time they really addressed us was after the meeting when they were approved. That was it. So recycling is going to be on my front lawn. I mean, I am trying to grasp and understand how this overlay zone could have been passed. And I mean, you have people that park on Ashwood Court for plays. It becomes a 1-lane entrance in and out. How can you allow another 70 to 80 trips out of that little cul-de-sac like that?
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Would you like us to contact you as
Yes.
well? Okay, perhaps.
Should I write down my name and
Yes,
information?
you don't have to. You could just do it at your convenience and hand it up to Rosemary when you
We'll just
get a
leave,
chance.
if you don't
Oh.
mind, just
Sure.
leave a pad there, and then each one of whoever wants to can leave their name and grab a pad.
Thank you. Are there any other, yes, ma'am?
Hi, I am Robin Dobashevsky. I'm another Ashford Court resident. My question is, we were at the zoning board meeting. Everyone who was voting to do it was saying, mistakes were made as we went along. This is what the town wants, so we have to do it. Even though they were, and you can go over and see the videos, see the minutes. they all, we're very unsure about the safety issues. I have a grandson who's on the court. I have another baby that's going to be due. My son just moved on the court. There are five under one and under babies, 3 other children on that court, and it's a lovely, family-friendly neighborhood that's going to be destroyed. I don't believe anybody, when they made the overlay ordinance, actually went out and looked at the site and saw that you're putting into there are 8 houses on there, 4 duplexes. You want to increase the use of that court by 150%, by 12 additional units, without a traffic study, without anything to show that it's safe. Again, my driveway is going to be one of those 7 that is going to converge and try to have to get out safely. And I just don't feel safe. I feel it's just like we are just being completely ignored by Summit. And the zoning board basically threw you guys all under the bus, saying, this is what the town wants. This is what Common Council voted. This is what Common Council wants. So we want to know why Common Council, without going, and I know we talked to David at one point during this, and he said he had never looked at the court when decision was made. And I don't even understand how you can make an overlay zone, how you can make an ordinance requiring an exit onto an area that no one has even looked at. I mean, there's an exit right now that's on Morris Avenue. It works. There's 60 cars parked there every day from Overlook. And there's supposedly only 27 spots total, including the handicapped in the new location. So that exit should, totally suffice. And, to increase 150% without anyone even looking at it, to me, is just a disgrace. Because, again, it's the safety that we're very concerned about. And in addition, right across from Ashford Court, there's another construction going on. A house was knocked down. We hear there's going to be a duplex or something going on. So I don't even know if, they used our court to keep their construction vehicles on when they were knocking the house down. I don't even know if anyone knows that there could be the potential for 2 construction sites just blocking completely. No one in that side of town will be able to go anywhere because the traffic already is ridiculous. So I think, I don't know. I think the traffic study that was promised needs to be done, and, the safety of our families, our children, our grandchildren, we matter as much as the new development people. And their safety is going to be just in jeopardy the same way as ours, with massive amounts of cars and people. So,
I thank you for your comments.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Todd Dobashevsky. I am also at Ashford Court, but I do want to stress that none of us are actually opposed to Habitat, and we actually all support the project. We just feel like it should go out on Morris Avenue, and I think we also just feel like we haven't felt that our safety concerns have really been heard. So I think if we can find a solution with the Morris Ave exit, I think it would be a win-win for everyone, and I think that's kind of just what we're all looking for. So,
Okay.
those are my comments.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Linda Gagliano, 71 Michigan Avenue, Summit, New Jersey. My husband and I own property on Ashwood Court. My daughter lives there. I don't know what to make of you people or the city of Summit. I'm just so upset over this. When we built our house on Michigan Avenue in '82, it's a dead-end street. I'm the very last house, nothing after me. We had our garage doors in the front yard. The planning board told us, you can't put the garage doors in the front yard for safety purposes. But yet, this Ashwood Court Drive is meeting right up to our driveway on Ashwood Court, that you have to back out into their drive almost. Where's the safety aspect? Nobody addressed it. Nobody. In our golden years, it cost us money to hire an attorney to fight this. And then to be called a racist because we're fighting for not that we don't want Habitat, we want the safety of the children in the court. So, now, The zoning board approved it. And they looked betwixt and between. We had a meeting one time in April. It was adjourned because the board attorney said that the members were not looking favorably upon the application because of the driveway. So they encouraged Habitat to go to the county to see if they can get permission to go out Morris Avenue. County said it was not a problem. So we get a vote in June, just last week, and all of a sudden, the board members are, oh, it's an inherently beneficial use. So we have to pass this. Nothing was ever addressed about our concerns. There's going to be a 2-foot height difference in their development to ours. It's going to be an elevated driveway. There is no room for recycling. Nothing was addressed like that. So now the board approved it. You people can't do anything to change anything. We have to hire an attorney again to go through an appeal. It's not fair to us, not fair at all. And in our golden years, we shouldn't have to be spending $25,000 to $30,000 to protect our property. So it's very upsetting. And I just don't think people, when they make decisions, just like my house on Michigan Avenue, people didn't know it was a dead end because they wouldn't be concerned about me backing out and the safety, because nobody drives down there. But here, the board members never asked us any questions. Nothing. I just found, how can you be concerned at one point and then all of a sudden make an about face and we're for it? And it seems they're a private community. They're by themselves. They have a nice little hunky-dory little place. But the court is all going to be upset. We're going to get traffic. You know there's going to be kids up there. Where are they going to play? They don't have a playground. They're going to be coming down into the court. We have 10, 11 kids in the court alone. And 5 are under a year and a half. 1 is going to be born in September. And there's 3 more that, 8, 5, and 4, I think they are. So, you know, I mean, and then they're going to have construction equipment coming through the court. What happens to these kids? My kids ride their bike on the sidewalk. We're going to be crossing a 20-foot driveway, 2-way driveway that they're going to have, which I think is a roadway. I don't know how you can have a 2-way driveway, but it's just, I don't understand what Summit's doing to the older residents and not taking into consideration. We've been there for 44 years. We've had that house. And to come to this, it's really heartbreaking. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, you were just standing to let her in. Okay, thank you. Are there any other public comments? Okay, then we shall move on. Moving on to ordinances for hearing. Madam Clerk, would you please read the first ordinance for hearing, please?
Number 19-3191, bond ordinance appropriating $2,100,000 and authorizing issuance of $1,999,000 bonds or notes of the city for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the city of Summit in the county of Union, New Jersey. I'll defer to council member.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilwoman Little, please.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. This is the ordinance that appropriates funding for the general capital fund that was approved at the prior budget meetings. This is for the general capital budget, I'm sorry. That was approved at the prior budget meetings that we held back in April, and I ask that we open the hearing on this ordinance.
Second. Okay, thank you. Do I have any comments from members of council on this ordinance for hearing? No, any comments from the general public about this ordinance for hearing? Okay, seeing none. I will declare this hearing closed, and we'll move on to the next ordinance for hearing. Forgive me for my slowness. Okay, Councilwoman Little, please.
I think Madam Clerk.
Oh, Madam Clerk.
19-3192, bond ordinance appropriating $1,570,000 and authorizing issuance of $1,495,000 bonds and notes of the city for the purpose of acquisition of property authorized to be undertaken by the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey.
Councilwoman Little.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. This is the bond ordinance to appropriate funds for the purchase of 7 Cedar Street. As we've discussed before, that property is located behind the firehouse and is part of the Broad Street redevelopment plan and is a real asset to the city in acquiring this property. So I ask that we open this ordinance for hearing.
Second. Thank you. Any comments from members of council? I know, seeing none, any comments from the public? Seeing none, I just want to say that I know that we've spoken about this property quite a bit, but I'm so pleased that I feel like this is going to be the ignition for our redevelopment, which I think is going to be so good for Summit and so good for our fire department indirectly. And I thank City Administrator Rogers for moving so quickly to make this happen. Thank you. Okay, this hearing is closed. Madam Clerk?
Ordinance number 19-3193, bond ordinance appropriating $101,000 and authorizing issuance of $96,000 bonds or notes of the city for various parking utility improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey.
Thank you, Councilwoman Little.
Thank you. This bond ordinance is to appropriate funds for the parking utility budget. So I ask that we open this ordinance for hearing.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from members of council about this ordinance? No. Any comments from members of the public? Seeing none, I'll call this hearing closed. Madam Clerk, please, the final finance ordinance for hearing.
Two more.
Oh, sorry, 2 more. There they are.
Ordinance 19-3194, bond ordinance appropriating $426,000 and authorizing issuance of $405,000 bonds or notes of the city for various sewer utility improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey.
Thank you. Councilwoman Little.
Thank you. This bond ordinance is to appropriate funds for the sewer utility improvements that were approved in the budget hearing. So I ask that we open this ordinance for hearing as well.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from any members of council about this ordinance for hearing? Any comments from the members of public about this one? Seeing none, I'll call this hearing closed. Madam Clerk, please.
Bond ordinance 19-3195, bond ordinance providing for the improvement of various roads in and by the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey, appropriating $1,370,000 therefore, and directing a special assessment of part of the cost thereof, and authorizing issuance of $1,304,000 bonds or notes of the city for financing same.
Thank you, Councilwoman Little.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. This is the final finance ordinance for hearing, but this is the bond ordinance that provides for funding for the various road projects that were approved in the budget hearings. So I ask that we open this ordinance for hearing as well.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from members of council? Any comments from members of the public? Hearing none, we'll declare. Oh,
What?
sorry, sir.
Is this the opportunity to ask questions about that, or is that at a later segment?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is the time.
hearing.
Sorry, these are not prepared. I just jotted them down.
That's
on the way
fine.
here.
Please just state your
Yeah,
name.
so my name is Chris Cordero. My wife and I are the homeowners of 2 West End Avenue, which is on the corner of, this is for New Providence, right? This is the whole letter that we had received, correct? I'm in the right section?
Well, Councilwoman Little, can you clarify what this particular section is for? This is for appropriations for road.
I think it was the special assessment is what we received
There are
letters
blocks and
about.
lots listed within the
Oh, yes.
ordinance.
Yeah.
Yes.
This bond ordinance is to appropriate funds for different road projects that were approved during the budget process in the spring. I believe there's a number of blocks. oh, here are the streets, I'm sorry, including Butler Parkway, Caldwell Avenue, Clark Street, Dayton Road, Huntley Road, Willow Road, Eaton Court, Milton Avenue, Gary Road, and New Providence Avenue.
Okay. So just, these are general questions, and I guess like you guys can let me know how this process works and if it's later that we find out more details about this. So, I would just say like, I'm a relatively new homeowner, so when I hear special assessment, I think it would just be helpful, just like general information around, how many homes are actually included. So the letter referenced block numbers and lots, which was really hard to figure out, like, are you dividing the amount by 100 homes or 10 or something? Like, I think that would just be helpful to give us a sense of what an approximate assessment might be per home, and even if it's able to make it specific to homes, like, it would just give us a sense of what those amounts are. And then also just understanding how this works usually, right? So for other similar projects maybe that have taken place in Summit, are we using the same exact methodology in terms of this assessing the homeowners, how it's calculated, how it's distributed, stuff like that? And are these voted together, the bond as well as the special assessment, or are those two separate items? And as I look through my notes, I just think that's basically it. So,
Thank you, sir. Those are excellent questions.
Maybe if I could answer the process question first.
Yes,
and then
Councilwoman
if
Little.
there, in terms of the assessments and the actual scope of the project, perhaps I know Paul Cascase is here, who's the head of our community services program. So there's different parts of the process that we have to go through in appropriating funds and capital projects. The first, well, the process started over a year ago when we started talking to department heads and getting their budgets from each department and going through those very carefully, asking lots of questions. We have a capital budgets meeting in December where all the departments present their capital budgets. That's open to the public, and the public is welcome to come and ask questions at that point. These particular road assessments go under the Department of Community Services. So at that time, Director Cascase presented to us the roads and that he felt needed improvements. We discussed them. They were discussed in the various committees where a lot of questions were asked about why these particular projects were being undertaken, how this is going on. And then the capital budget as well as the operating budgets were all presented in the spring at our budget meetings and hearings, and we had several meetings where we discussed the different budgets and voted on them. This is the bond ordinance that appropriates funds for funding these different projects. It is not, but then within, that's just the funding piece of it. When it comes time to do any of these projects for each particular roadway and project, there will be a resolution that will discuss the bids that went out and would authorize that particular project. If you looked on the agenda, actually tonight, we have a resolution for to award bids for the Wallace Road Improvement Project, which was part of a previous capital budget process. Was it last year or the year before? Last year that we approved. So that's coming back to council now as a resolution for that specific project. Bids went out. There were, bids were returned by different contractors, and now we're going to discuss and award the bid to do that particular project with amounts and, specific dollar amounts attached to that. So when we vote on this bond ordinance tonight, we're just voting to appropriate funding for the overall budget.
Okay.
In each
That's
piece
helpful.
of that budget will then have another opportunity. So there's many opportunities for the public to ask questions and to get involved. One is that initial capital budgets meeting, then when we go through the budget process, and then when each particular project is approved by the council.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That's helpful. I mean, I think for, speaking just for myself, it's just helpful to understand the process, the timing of it as it relates, selfishly
this project-
to our area.
For any of these particular roads that were referenced in this bond ordinance, they may come up a year from now or 6 months from now or some other time. It will be noticed in the agenda. There will be opportunity for the public to come and ask questions. There will be more information.
That's helpful. I mean, and look, I would say we're all for improvements. So, I mean, it's just helpful to understand the process and specifically for us. So thank you.
Actually, I appreciate very much you coming and asking right now whether it's the right time or not. It's important that you get involved. And I wonder if Director Cascase could tell us a little bit about how the process works. Because I know that a lot of, Mr. What was your last name? Cordero. So, Mr. Cordero, I know that a lot of planning goes into which streets we decide we're going to work on.
So, for you, Council President Pro Tem.
Thank you.
So, one of the questions that Mr. Cordero had was he wanted to learn more about the assessment and the assessment process. So, what I do want to make clear is the property owners on those streets that have been approved through an ordinance for these projects are only assessed for curbing and sidewalk repairs, not for road repairs. We'll go out and evaluate the curbs and the sidewalks. We'll get a linear foot, and we'll establish pricing based on the bids that we receive for that specific project. So the methodology that you had questioned, it is all the same. As the bids come in, they all may be different for each street based on linear foot of repairs for sidewalks or curbing, and you'll be assessed, accordingly. There'll be homes that within the project a location that may not need any assessments or be assessed for anything because their curbs and sidewalks are in good shape. So as we get closer, and these, as Council Little mentioned, as these projects come forward and they go out to bid, you'll see a resolution here to either approve or not approve the bid. If it is approved, to be awarded. And then at that time, you'll also have the opportunity to attend assessment meetings for your specific project. And we will calculate the best we can. We'll give you a rough estimate on your parcel and any assessment for any improvements on your section, either curbing or sidewalk. So I hope that answered your question. Sure.
Yes, and Mr. Cordero, you're free to write to any of us at any time for an update if you'd like. We want you to be involved in the process. So thank you for coming up. Mayor Radis has joined us straight from the middle school graduation.
Yep.
How did it go?
Great. Over 300 children graduated approximately, and they contributed over 6,300 community service hours this year, the 8th grade class.
That's
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it was
Phenomenal.
pretty impressive. So anyway, it was a nice celebration inside. Weather was not cooperative to be outside, but anyway,
Right.
Thank you. Sorry to just get.
Thank you. No, I'm glad you're here. Okay, we are now at.
No, probably want to ask if there's anybody else.
Yes, are there any other comments on this particular ordinance for hearing? Any further comments from council, members of council? Yes, Councilwoman Little.
I just wanted to make one other clarification. I believe that when we come up to one of these particular ordinances, the homeowners that are affected are also noticed. Is that correct?
They are.
Okay. I just want to make that clarification as well. When we come closer to any one of these projects being implemented that are referenced in this bond ordinance, the homeowners are also noticed. They will be provided notice.
But is that by mail?
I believe it's by mail. Is that correct?
You, Council.
Thank
President
you,
Pro Tem.
Director Cascade.
It is through mail. And then we, as I mentioned, we will have more than one assessment hearing here in City Hall to give those property owners who are notified by mail the opportunity to come out and understand the project, raise concerns if they have concerns about the project, and also understand what their assessment will be.
Okay, thank you, Director Cascade. Any other comments from Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Varun Ahuja. I'm a very new recent resident of Summit.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's just been a year and a half. We have a 2-year-old, so we're excited about moving here. I had a follow-up question.
Could you tell us your address, please?
Oh, sure. It's 16 Providence Avenue.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I had a follow-up question kind of related to the project and also to the process. New Providence Avenue, as I think most folks are aware, sees a lot of traffic with respect to the transfer station. And as a result of that traffic, the roads are not in great shape. So from an improvement standpoint, we're definitely looking forward to the improvement. But again, on an ongoing basis, as roads deteriorate, trucks go by and get on the curb and break parts of the curb and stuff like that. What's the right process to follow to kind of notify the city about some of the challenges we see there, and how do we address them on an ongoing basis, not just this one time?
Yes. Thank you for your question. I know one easy way is see-click-fix on the cityofsummit.org. You get very fast response on there. It goes directly to the proper division head.
Okay.
I've done it myself very successfully, and they, just before I was on council. That's one way. I think that's the best way. Yes, sir, Director Cascades. Inspector.
You were so they can also contact the Department of Community Services. City website does have all the departments listed. You contact us, and we would be happy to address any of the complaints. With regards to the New Providence Avenue project, that'll include curbing, Belgian block curbing, which you don't have there now. It'll include drainage improvements and also paving of the road.
Yeah, stay for one more minute if you would, sir. The work on New Providence Avenue is much needed, right? Because the curbing does more than just look good. It's about water control as well.
It's about controlling the runoff of water. In that area there, we do have some temporary curbing, but the Belgian block curbing will improve that. It'll enhance the drainage in that area, so you won't see as much water being directed. And also the crown of the road, we're going to crown the road in a way where we crown it towards the sides where the curbing will be and into inlets and take the water off of the street.
Right, and I thank you. I know that we've been working on water management all over the city.
Yes.
And what's the rough timeline for New Providence Avenue?
Yeah, so we're going to be we're waiting for the bond ordinance to be advertised. Once it's advertised, there's a 20-day wait period. Once that is completed, we'll be able to go out and bid the project. Probably a couple months during the bidding project, we'll do some extra design work. And then hopefully by September, October, we could get some of the curbing in. I want to make sure that the free market building is built prior to the paving of the road, because the road is going to be, this project includes paving right from Mount Vernon, Kent Place, Mount Vernon, all the way through the transfer station property. So we want to make sure that's completed, so because you'll have some, construction truck traffic there. And
right.
Right after that, hopefully, if you have a mild winter, you may be able to pave it in November. If not, the paving will take place, the milling and paving in the spring of 20.
Thank you. Yes, I know that because I learned from you that after October, November, you can't start paving again until May usually, right?
Right. As long if the temperatures cool off, you don't want to put asphalt down with cool temperatures. You want it really binding, and it binds well when the pavement temperature is warm or hot.
Okay. Thank you, Director Cascades. I know that neighborhood's a priority for us. Any other comments from the public? Or comments from members of council or from our mayor? No. Okay, then I will declare this hearing closed. And we will move on to ordinances for final consideration, which may sound a bit familiar. Councilwoman Little.
Clerk.
Oh, Madam Clerk, please. Forgive me.
That's okay. Bond ordinance 19-3191, bond ordinance appropriating $2,100,000 and authorizing issuance of $1,999,000 bonds or notes of the city for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilwoman Little.
Thank you. As we just discussed, this is the bond ordinance that authorized funds for the general capital budget, and I ask that we approve this ordinance.
I second it.
Thank you. Let's do a roll call.
Mr.
please.
Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox?
Aye.
Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Mr. Vartan?
Aye. Motion carries. The next ordinance for final consideration, please, Madam Clerk.
19-3192, bond ordinance appropriating $1,570,000 and authorizing issuance of $1,495,000 bonds or notes of the city for the purpose of acquisition of property authorized to be undertaken by the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey.
Thank you. Councilwoman Little.
Thank you. As we just discussed again, this bond ordinance appropriates funds for the purchase of 7 Cedar Street, and I ask that we approve this ordinance.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Madam.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox?
Aye.
Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Mr. Vartan?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to our third ordinance for final consideration, please.
Ordinance 19-3193, bond ordinance appropriating $101,000 and authorizing issuance of $96,000 bonds or notes of the city for various parking utility improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilwoman Little.
Thank you. This bond ordinance appropriates funds for the parking utility improvements, and I ask that we approve this ordinance.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox?
Aye.
Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Mr. Vartan?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
19-3194, bond ordinance appropriating $426,000 and authorizing issuance of $405,000 bonds or notes of the city for various sewer utility improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey.
Thank you, Councilwoman Little.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. This is the bond ordinance that appropriates funds for the various sewer utility improvements, and I move this ordinance for approval.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox?
Aye.
Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Mr. Vartan?
Aye.
Motion carries. Madam Clerk, please.
19-3195, bond ordinance providing for the improvement of various roads in and by the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey, appropriating $1,370,000 therefore, directing a special assessment of part of the cost thereof, and authorizing issuance of $1,304,000 bonds or notes of the city for financing same.
Thank you, Councilwoman Little.
Thank you. This is the final finance ordinance, and this is the bond ordinance that appropriates funds for the various road improvements that were approved in the budget. And I ask that we approve this ordinance as well.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bowman, we need a second.
I got a
think.
second that.
Oh, forgive me,
Thank
Councilwoman Bowman.
Took my one.
A little thunder.
I got,
You got excited.
I got marble mouth today.
Seconded.
Okay, roll call.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox?
Aye.
Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Mr. Vartan?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to ordinances for introduction. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance amending Chapter 4, General Licensing, Section 4-5, Licensing of Peddlers and Solicitors of this Code of the City of Summit, County of Union, New Jersey.
Thank you, Councilman Bowman.
Thank you, Council Pro Tem President, Council President Pro Tem.
Catching.
It is catchy.
Contagious.
You know, just listening to Beth the whole time, or Councilwoman Little. As per council's recommendation, we are amending our process, streamlining the process while making the fee structure more consistent and additionally clarifying the insurance provisions. We are stating our firm times for Monday through Saturday 9 to 9 as acceptable times for solicitation. This ordinance will be heard on our next meeting, 7/9. I move we introduce this ordinance.
I second.
Thank you. Any comments from, no.
comments.
No comments. I don't want any comments,
Yeah.
right.
Just roll call.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox?
Aye.
Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Mr. Vartan?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to resolutions now. Madam Clerk, please.
I defer to Councilman Bowman.
Councilman Bowman.
Thank you, Council Pro
It's,
Tem.
you know, it's the
It's-
intricacies of the process that
no
are
doubt about
stymieing me. It's not, anyway, I
This is-
apologize to you.
This
Okay.
is Law and Labor Ordinance Number 6539. It is to renew the 2019 and 2020 liquor licenses. Last meeting, we had a number of licenses that were renewed. With this resolution, we will have completed all of our distribution, retail, clubs, and restaurant liquor licenses. So all of our establishments will be licensed through June 30th, 2020. How about that? So at this moment, I would like to support this resolution.
And I second.
Thank you. Do I have any comments from any members of council on this resolution? Seeing none. Any comments from any members of the public? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, resolution, the second batch of resolutions comes from Capital Projects and Community Services. Councilwoman Fox, please.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. Capital Projects Resolution 1, number 6456. This resolution authorizes the city to award the bid for the Wallace Road Improvement Project. And this is something we've been talking about for some time. We'll be awarding the bid for all of the components that we talked about in previous meetings to American Asphalt and Milling Services. And the contract amount is $383,883.38. And this project will be funded using 2018 capital funds and also $95,000 from the Union County Infrastructure Grant. This contract came in under the budgeted amount, so that's actually a good thing. I move this resolution.
And I second. Any comments from members of council? Yes, Councilwoman Little.
I just wanted to comment as a follow-up to the discussion we had before. This was a project where residents have come to the council a number of times to talk about the issues that were going on their street. They had quite a lot of water remediation that needed to be done on Wallace Avenue. They have spill off from the Canoe Brook Golf Course, if anyone's familiar with that area, and they had a lot of water on the street, and it had done some damage to the paving and was affecting the properties. Then we had a presentation from the engineering department where they presented us with a number of options to council of ways to remediate the issues that were going on at Wallace Road. They discussed it with the county, and then it was approved in our capital budgets last year to work on this project. So there was a lot of discussion among council and the engineering department, the Department of Community Services, the residents in coming to this solution for Wallace Road, and I'm really happy that we are moving forward and hopefully helping some of the issues that they've been dealing with in terms of the water that has been going on there. So I'm really happy to support this project and glad that we're going forward. And thank you to the engineering department and the Department of Community Services for working so diligently on this particular road project. I know you do on all of them, but this one was a tricky one, I know. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from members of council? Any comments from members of the public about this resolution? No. I'd like to say thank you to Union County for their grant of $95,000 and their continued and what seems to be increasing support of Summit, and we are so grateful. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Councilwoman Little.
Nope.
Councilwoman Fox.
Thank you, Council President.
I was looking at you.
Yeah, you wouldn't be the first one to confuse us. Okay, Capital Projects Resolution number 2, it's number 6485. This resolution authorizes the city to award the bid for the City Hall air conditioning chiller replacement project in the amount of $297,770. And this contract will be awarded to Central Pack Engineering Corporation. This is the last part of a long project that we've been working on to replace the HVAC system at City Hall. The old system was original to the City Hall building, so it's 25 years old. And as many of you may recall, we've had instances where it hasn't quite worked as we needed it to for meetings. So this will be a great addition to City Hall, and the project will begin after the cooling season this summer, and it will be funded by 2018 and 2019 capital funds. I move this resolution.
And I second. Any comments from members of council? Any comments from the public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Councilwoman Fox.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. Capital Projects Resolution 3, it's number 6524. This resolution authorizes the Mayor's Partnership for the Arts, Summit Arts Committee to hold public workshops with the artist Sarah Langston at Community Night on the Village Green on Tuesday, July 16th, and at the Family Aquatic Center on Saturday, July 27th. These workshops will be open to the public at no charge, and members of the public will be helping to create a piece of art that will be displayed at the Overlook Hospital portion of the park line, and that's part of phase 1 of the park line. It kind of it's where the steps go up parallel to Morris Avenue. The artist has agreed to sign a hold harmless agreement and to provide a certificate of insurance prior to the workshops. I move this resolution.
And I second. Any comments from council members on this resolution? Any comments from the members of the public? I'd like to say that I've seen the pictures of some of this artist's work and what this is going to look like. I think it looks fantastic, and we've seen some of it being built in various places around town, and I think it's going to be a nice addition. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have a resolution from the floor from Councilman McTiernan.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. This is a resolution from the floor, so it's not on the agenda for those following at home or in the audience. We're doing it from the floor because there's a timing issue around it. This is a resolution to urge support for Assembly Bill 5450 and Senate Bill 3827, which attempts to clarify the telecommunications industry's corporate tax responsibility. Effectively, towers and poles and such in different municipalities tax Verizon and Comcast telecom providers, depending on what percentage of households use their services. There was a clarification for that law in 1997 that is being used by the telecommunications companies to sue municipalities to try and get out of their tax responsibilities. The Assembly and the Senate believe that that was never the intent of the original legislation in 1997. So they have passed legislation seeking to clarify that so that these lawsuits against municipalities will no longer happen. There was one municipality that had to fight this for 10 years, finally won, and they are open to have that happen again for the following year. So this is a resolution that Summit Council will urge the support of this legislation, the vote which could happen as early as Thursday. And with that, I move this resolution.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman McTiernan. And it is very important that we express our feelings. City Administrator Rogers, am I correct in some of the tax that we receive, or a big portion of it, we use to fund hometown TV, which is how people are seeing this broadcast?
What they're referring to in this bill is there's the infrastructure that there's an assessment on in the town, and we have approximately 2.4 million, I believe, in assessment. Many municipalities lost that because the telecom companies appealed it, and essentially the municipalities, instead of fighting it, just took it off, and they became zero. So there were millions and millions of dollars that were lost in valuation throughout the state. This particular municipality that Councilman McTiernan speaks of, that after 10 years prevailed, the state legislature is finally stepping in to protect municipalities from this happening and going through protracted litigation. So the cable franchise fees are different.
Oh.
Those are the fees that you'll see as revenue sources in our budget. Those come off of, there's a percentage that is affixed to everybody's bill and is collected by the state, and then ultimately comes back from those two, Verizon and Comcast in our cases. So the portion of that comes back to us each year. And that's roughly, what, 378,000 a year or so.
Well, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Any other comments from members of council or from members of the public about this resolution from the floor? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Now, we're moving on to council member comments. Do any council members have comments? Councilwoman Little, please.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. We referenced it quickly when Mayor Radis came back to the council room, but I just wanted to take a moment to congratulate all the 5th grade students who had moving up ceremonies this week, all the 8th graders who participated in graduation tonight at the middle school, going up to the high school. I don't think we specifically actually explained why Council President Naidu isn't here, but he was attending the middle school graduation to see his son graduate at the middle school tonight, so special congratulations to him. And to congratulate all the seniors who are graduating from the high school tomorrow. So hopefully they will be outside and not in the auditorium, but we never know. This is a crazy weather situation. So congratulations to the class of 2019 from Summit High School. As always, and every year, they're an incredibly accomplished class, and we will miss them and wish them the best of luck in all their future endeavors.
Thank you, Councilwoman Little. Any other comments? I would like to say that I apologize for not explaining why Council President Naidu was not here, and I give a special congratulations to Ravi Naidu, Connor Little, who's graduating from Summit High School, and my own daughter, Madeline Gould, who I'm sure this will thrill her that I've mentioned her, who's graduating from Summit High School tomorrow. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you.